Down?
No, I don't do
No, we're just live.
I have one built and I always forget to use it. So, oh no, actually, I don't even have the countdown to go in. I have a countdown at the end, which I also always forget to use.
Well, it looks like we're live.
Yes, we are live. We have 10 people, which is like crazy. So hi everyone. I see
Yes, hi.
3 people in the chat. 4 people. I can't count this morning, even though I was telling Haley that I already drank some caffeine before this started. Now that I'm no longer in school, my brain's like, numbers, who needs them? Like, you can just like copy all the words you've written in a day and paste it into wordcounter.net. So you really don't have to worry about math. Just let the computer do it. And so now my brain is like, don't know how to count.
That's my ideal life.
Yes.
I mean, I would like to still be able to count. I feel like that's a necessary adult skill, and I would like to not completely lose it and look like a dum-dum like I did just now. So, Haley, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Haley. You may better know me on Twitch as Haley H Creates. Also here on YouTube, although I'm kind of a ghost on YouTube now. And on Ko-fi.
Link
And
to
on Ko-fi.
everything.
Gotta get that Ko-fi in here.
Yes, you do.
And this month for June, over on my Twitch channel, I'm doing a month-long fundraiser for the Trevor Project. They're an American nonprofit organization that helps LGBTQ youth with national suicide prevention efforts and a crisis hotline. And our goal for the entire month is $1,000. We just hit 200 during the kickoff stream. So if anybody's interested and wants to fundraise for an amazing cause, I'm streaming later today at 4 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch, and we're going to be writing. We might also play Minecraft or whatever. It depends on how stressed I am. So, yeah.
Minecraft is good. Yes. I miss gaming to de-stress. I occasionally will get to go in and watch somebody else game and live vicariously through them. I haven't gamed in so long. I'll just say this real quick, that when I do play The Sims, my brain reverts back to like Sims 2 or 3. And I'm like, where is everything? Last time I tried to find my kids' homework, I'm like, where's the homework? Because in the older ones, they just set it down somewhere. And you just have to go find it. And my daughter's like, go to the bookshelf. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're on Sims 4. So bad. That's what happens when you don't get the game for a long time.
Honestly, that's great.
I'm Nia, the Vixen of Fiction. I'm here on YouTube. I'm also on Twitch and Instagram. You can find me there. Yes, definitely. I have a Ko-fi. I occasionally remember to upload there, but I will be uploading there as I have more stuff organized to set out the things that I'm writing and drawing. I also host AuthorTubers React, which we'll be doing on the 25th. I host Scripting the Book, which this month we are doing Jane Austen's Sanditon. So if you've read the unfinished manuscript of Sanditon and watched this series that's on Masterpiece PBS and want to join us and talk about it and talk about what it is to adapt an unfinished work, which I'm very excited. This is the first time we're doing an unfinished work. You can come join us for that. And at the end of the month, I host a writer's wrap-up, which we usually do either on the last day of the month or the first day of the month. So for July, we believe we're going to do it on the first day of the month. So if you want to join us for the wrap-up, and that's a time where you can come in and let us know what you're doing, promote anything you want to promote. Let us know if you've got a book coming out, a new newsletter, whatever it is that you've got going on, or something that you just did the prior month and you just want to let us know and get it out there and let us promote you and give you some, whoops.
One day I will make one of those streams.
Yes.
I always forget that they're happening.
Because they're not on a regular day. They're just whatever the last day or the first day of the month is. So it's a little dodgy on that one.
It also changes channels, so I'm always like, And because there are 3 of us, we are blocking my Ko-fi URL that's normally in the background.
Normally right here.
Yeah, so I will put it in a banner, and I think everyone in the chat knows who I am, but if you don't, my name is Zara Hoffman. I'm the self-published author of 6 books.
And you're taking them down right there?
A young adult
love that.
paranormal romance trilogy and a new adult sci-fi romance trilogy. This is available in audiobook. This is being made into the second one is being made into an audiobook. You know, hopefully the other books will be made into them, but it's expensive to do. But I do want to do like at least the whole first trilogy because it'd be weird to have 2 and not the third. So if you'd like to help with that, you can support me on my Ko-fi. I am the co-host, co-create. Let's do this in order. I'm the co-creator, co-host, and editor of the Writish podcast, which is your, one-stop shop for all things writing related, from shiny new idea through actually publication and how life either fuels and or gets in the way of that. And recently I created my own publishing company called Inimitable Books, and that is dedicated to uplifting marginalized voices without forcing authors to spotlight their social trauma in their books. And if you want to support me anywhere, I would prefer this because this money is going towards paying book advances, fairly paying authors for their work. If you are aware of the Publishing Paid Me hashtag that I think was 2019 or 2020 on Twitter, it became very clear that BIPOC, LGBTQIA, and other marginalized voices were not getting paid the same as their white counterparts for the same work. So I'm not going to do that in my company. So be sure to check this out, please. I am a permanent co-host of AuthorTubers React on Nia's channel. Sometimes I hop on to her scripting the book. And yeah, I think that's everything in my intro. I don't think I forgot anything. So, hi. So Regina, Violet, Deja, Emmy?
Yes, Emmy.
Okay, I've in my brain, I'm always I think I know how to pronounce it, and then I doubt myself, so sorry. But hello, and then Barrett, who I already put up. And I need to create the forest room for the first sprint. I'm going to try and keep chatting in between sprints a little bit more to a minimum than usual because I'm interviewing someone for the podcast at noon today.
Ooh.
So
we need to stay on task.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Focus.
Because I need to get a lot of writing done. So
yeah, I am so behind on my task list every single day. It's not funny. Okay, the first tree picked by Haley. Ginkgo. I have unlocked way too many trees. Okay.
Excuse me. Oh, man. Zara, I think I need some of your coffee.
I know.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee, but the caffeine definitely. It's these caffeine packs that Kelly got me addicted to.
Oh, fun.
And I have the peach flavored, but when I visited her, she introduced me to the dragon fruit flavor. Ooh. And that's really good. And they have strawberry and other things. I thought I'd love the strawberry. I don't love that one as much as I'd hoped.
Yeah, I want to try those. Do they have a sweetener in them?
No, I think it's natural sweetener.
Okay, but not an artificial sweetener.
As far as I know, when I read it months and months ago, before when I started drinking it.
Okay, because
they also have non-caffeinated ones.
You're prone to migraines too, and it doesn't bother you at all. So that means
no, it does not bother me.
Perfect.
And I am definitely prone to migraines. Okay, there are lots of numbers in this one. So 4, 6, 3, 9, 6, X-ray. 3, Sierra Golf. Sorry, I had to look down to be like, I hope I typed everything correctly, but I did. First
You did.
try.
I actually prefer it when there's a lot of numbers, because when you're typing on your iPhone, you have to switch.
Yeah.
Some numbers, I'm like, ah.
Okay, Crow won't be joining the rooms today, so I will not wait for her. Richard came in. Crow came in.
Hey, Richard.
We're going to start the sprint at the 15-minute mark, so people have about 2 minutes to enter. We didn't say what we were working on today, so do we want to rapid fire do that? Haley, you're first.
Okay. So I'll be working on my middle grade novel today. It's something that I've been making a lot of progress on, and something that's going really well. I'm like completely rewriting it from scratch, and yeah, it's a good, fun project.
Cool.
Very
It's
cool.
a magic Victorian children, and there are birds.
I'm in.
Thank you. With that horrible description.
Well, it reminds me enough of the Thief Lord that I'm like, I don't need any more info.
Oh, now
I'm
that's a book title I haven't heard in a while.
write that down. I'm going to be working on my middle grade sci-fi. I'm working specifically on my first chapter. I know how the story goes, and I can, because I outline, I kind of skip around, but I'm really bad at starting, because I don't start with an inciting incident, but I also want to make it exciting and draw the reader in. So I'm going to be working very hard to try and get a very interesting beginning.
I believe in you. And I always start the inciting incident, so I'm just like off to the races. So I don't, because I've realized that like I don't like doing the before the inciting incident part. So I'm like, I just roll with it. I am revising my young adult dystopian romance. It is my first standalone. Kelly, my partner in the Reddish podcast, is like, is it a standalone? And I was like, don't even joke. On the 2nd, I reached the halfway mark in the chapter numbers of revising, not the scene numbers. But I'm making good progress. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep trucking along. And then like this week, I really have to do beta reading. I just keep putting it off. I keep putting everything off, which is the problem. So in 3, why am I echoing? In 3, 2, 1, happy productivity, everyone. If you're in the Forest app, we are going to be going by the timer on screen. There's always a little delay, but don't touch your phone until the end of it. Too many tabs open. How did everyone do? Haley. Yeah.
Gonna be honest here, I stressed. But I also wrote like a sentence or two and I got breakfast, so I'm taking that as a win.
Productive. Yeah, that's absolutely a win.
Yeah.
I normally count the first sprint as like, hey, if I like finish my morning routine, but I actually woke up early for me today and got it all done beforehand. So I was looking for a wrist brace though for like the first 10 minutes and before I decided to just wrap my hand with like tape because I think I left my wrist brace at my home instead of remembering to bring it to my mom's. So, but this has been helpful. Nia said that she'd be back, but let's. So like I said, first 10 minutes not revising, but then the last 15 minutes I was actually looking at the comments and making changes to chapter 24. So what I used to do is I used to put all the comments in and then make changes, but now what I do is I go through the comments and make changes as I'm doing it, which I think is slowing me down, but it is allowing me to be like, oh, I want to change more than even what the comments are saying. Whereas before it used to be like, oh, it's kind of like a checklist. So I'll just go through all the comments and like just fix those rather than rereading the chapter.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the reasons why this book is like my longest one yet. It is also like a standalone, so it's like I need to like resolve everything. I can't. I mean, I did that with my first 3 books, the young adult paranormal romance trilogy, because while it is a trilogy and I do think it is best for people to read all 3, they each are technically like a standalone that are linked where it's like, oh, you'll know the history between characters if you've read the other books, but each story is pretty much self-contained. Whereas this is like, this is absolutely self-contained. So I'm trying to add as much as possible. And yeah.
For sure.
How'd you do, Nia?
I got all of my documents out. I actually got a few words. And then Loki at the very end, I got him water and got his snacks and everything. So I was like, we're good to go. But then he was very concerned and like doing a pacing thing at the door. I wasn't sure if he needed to go out. So at the last minute, I'm like, well, I don't want him to have an accident and it be my fault. So, but he just was concerned because he heard the kids going out the back door, which he can't bark out the window and see them. Aww. So I had to show him that everything was fine and everybody's cool. So he's good. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't understand the pacing in front of the door very frantically. I was like, what is happening?
What's wrong?
I'm like, something's going on here.
I mean, 63 words are still 63 words. So 16's outlined on the template. Awesome. Crow, I don't know what TL means.
Timeline?
Well, that's what I'm assuming, but this is about work. A form for, team leader reassignments. And for a second, I thought I was losing her. Thankfully, I'm staying. Okay, cool. First going to be ordering groceries, working on sci-fi romance. Yeah, I loved writing my sci-fi romance. I don't know if I'll ever return to that genre because I have so many other story ideas in like different genres, but it was fun. Did you make coffee with your breakfast?
I did not. I just got plantains, leftover like sweet plantains. Yeah, no, for coffee, I don't think I have any, but I'd have to look, but I don't think that would help me stressing right now, so I think I'm gonna lay off.
Yeah, it would probably just turbocharge it.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, up to 100.
Yeah. Where it's like people who have anxiety and they're like, why am I like so anxious after I drink coffee? It's like, well, it is a stimulant, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. 16's outline. That's awesome. Last chapter of my 3rd illustrated story. That's awesome. You're just cranking these out. 650. Starting book 2's fast draft. Sorry, not final. Fast draft. Wrong F word. So far, I've not written as much this weekend as I wanted to, so I'm grateful to be getting words already in this morning. Yes. And in 14 minutes, if you are a Patreon of Kate Kavanaugh, she's doing her first double stream day sprint for May, but delayed. The next one will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. I don't think I have any other time zones memorized. Sorry. But yeah, so obviously I'm streaming now, so I won't be watching hers. Yeah. Do I use or create character sheets? I don't really.
I do.
Yeah. So I have aphantasia, which makes me wonder if it would help or if it would frustrate me more because I wouldn't know like how to describe them and things like that. But at the same time, I always come up with a description of like, this is their hair color, this is their eye color. And that's really about it. With my sci-fi romance, and I guess also the first book in my paranormal romance trilogy, I was like, okay, what is the age of the guy? Because they're not human. So I mean, at least with the paranormal romance one, I could be like, oh, his family was dying during the cholera outbreak in London like this year, and he was like this old then, and then just like, oh, it's present time now, so like plug it into a calculator. Versus for my Stellar Blood trilogy, which is my new adult sci-fi one, the aliens have much longer lifespans than humans, and it's like they physically age like a human and then they just stay that way for a very long time until they start like deteriorating. And I named them Eocronians because like it's almost like eon, which is obviously like a very long period of time. So that's really the only time that I would be using a character sheet where it's like eye color, hair color, if there's a crazy weird age. Yeah. And then I don't write down height because I basically always know that the guy's taller than the female.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah, see, in mine that wouldn't necessarily be true either in the fantasy or in the sci-fi.
I mean, I think I would note that like a character is shorter than someone else, like if it wasn't that, but like that's really the only experience I've ever had in my life. So like my guy friends, my family members, and like it's not harder to be taller than me, but like the guys in my family are taller than the women in my family, and things like that. And like some of the women in my family have a very tall dad, so like they might be taller than their mom, but they're still shorter than their dad. So for me, that's just the default. So like unless it's, or like, oh, this is a kid. So like in my current one, the younger brother of the main male character, who's like the love interest, really, I don't even think of him as like a male main character like I do for my other stories, which were like, they're both main characters in their own story. And because I'm in both points of view, like I do consider them both main characters. And this, like, it's all from one point of view. So like he really is, quote unquote, just the love interest. But his younger brother is short enough that my character like gets down, like she kneels to talk to him eye to eye. But those are also cases where she's wearing heels. So like she'd still be looking down at him if she wasn't dressed up. Yeah. Type of thing.
Yeah, I can show you on the one that I'm actually working on right now. I have character sheets. They're smaller for, see, I'm not on my camera. Normally I would just tap my camera and then it would come into focus. But so I leave them blank if I don't have anything filled out. Oh, that's good. And then as I get information, I'll just highlight as I'm writing, and then I'll add that into their character bio. And if I have eye color, I usually will have an image of them also. If I don't have an image, then I make sure I write that in, but I have a slot for it. So once I have it down, it goes in there. But she's not a main character, so some of the stuff's not that important. So what goes into her character bio is what is important about her. And then for other characters, though, there's like much more detail, and they'll have their eye color and all of that filled in. And I can add in as I write it. And if I do the writers conference, that's some of the stuff I'm going to go over, how you can do it very quickly so that you're not feeling like, oh, I'm spending days and days when I just doing world building or character stuff when I actually want to be writing, because you can just go ahead and write the story.
Yeah, and then, Richard and Eva are talking about like how they're doing series and they want to be consistent and things like that. Mm-hmm. So this is like a series. In my current story, I actually did mess up where I had said that the love interest had heterochromia, and then later I gave him only one eye color, and so I had to go back and fix that. But normally when I'm writing a story, I'm just like, yeah, this was their eye color. Like with the Stellar Blood trilogy, it was very easy for me because I was like, oh, like they're one of the things about Eochronians is that their eyes look like galaxies, kind of like the blind owl named Zeus, who like has been shared on the internet a crazy amount, at least for me. And then with the Belgrave Legacy, I was like, oh, he has blue eyes, but because he's a dark angel, that added red, so his eyes look violet. But then what, like I know it's not important, but like I know in the flashbacks that like he had blue eyes. Mm-hmm. But like also I had the cover, which was helpful. I'm someone who like gets the cover early because I need the visualization. And if I have a story idea, I know it's going to be published. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm that person that, because I have more of a hyperphantasia, everything that you tell me, I register it in my mental description of the person. Every word that you give me is being registered. So if you say something that you don't mean, it's still getting registered. And I'll be later like, but that changed. And I'll know it changed. And sometimes it's hard for me to keep going. Sometimes it will literally take me out of the story and I'll go back and look something up. I'll go back to the chapter where you said the other thing.
I hope that didn't happen in any of my published books that you read, because I tried very hard to not have that happen. This is the first time where like.
And sometimes I just let it go. Like the last time I read where someone literally described a facial feature one way. They said that they had one parent's facial feature. And then a few chapters later, they said they had the same facial feature, but it came from the other parent. And I'm like, what? That literally, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. Just keep going. I literally had to make myself
that would get me too, even with like my aphantasia. I'd be like, but you said the other thing.
Yep. And then when I went back and was listening on the audiobook, I was like, I knew it. Yeah. I knew it wasn't just me because I registered it, because I'm filling in a description of the person as I'm reading the story.
I know some people will do this and it's never worked for me. Like when I was posting stuff on Wattpad, I think they added a thing that allowed you to add a cast, and I'm doing something under my pen name and it's required that we come up with like casting for our characters. So I did it, but I was just like, this like doesn't really mean anything to me. I just picked famous actors who like meet enough of what I was thinking of for the characters. But it's like, even if I assigned actors to it. Like I wouldn't be imagining them doing it. Like I have very good visual memory, so it's not that I can't picture the actor in my mind, but my brain is like that, but they're not like the character. So like
I will sometimes pick a person and then like change them as needed.
Yeah.
To give me like a baseline. Like I think they kind of look like this person, or they kind of sound like. I do a lot of sound like. I like people's voices, so I'm like, oh, I think that they sound like this person.
You can submit to my publishing company, and then I handle the covers. I don't make them, but like I hire a freelancer who knows what they're doing.
I used to create Sims for my characters, but like even then, it's just I don't know. Like it's a completely different experience writing and reading what I'm writing. You know, in terms of picturing the characters, like nothing will ever be the same, which is like I guess by design because they're all different mediums and stuff. You know, I don't really place a lot of importance on how my main characters look unless it like serves the story, which I guess you're supposed to like do it the other way around, but because
No,
like character
I
work,
get that.
but I don't know.
Okay, so next sprint we're gonna have a much shorter conversation so we can fit in the next 3. But we're gonna start this sprint now. Oh yeah, if you don't listen to Popcorn Culture, the podcast by the Super Carlin brothers, it's really good. And the world's sketchiest Uber ride. Oof, that was a ride. Anyway, in 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity, everyone.
Woo.
that was the end of our second sprint. Apparently, I forgot to put this up during the second sprint, so I apologize. But Nia's Ko-fi is linked in the description, as is her YouTube channel with her name being tagged before it. So, and also her YouTube channel is linked to her Ko-fi. If you have multiple social media and a Ko-fi page, you should link all of it to your Ko-fi page. Because if you're ever a guest on my channel, I only link your Ko-fi page. Although I now tag a YouTube channel because that's allowed. So, how'd you do, Nia? Oop, you're muted.
Of course I am. And then I had to find my mouse. I'm like, where are you?
It's okay.
Yeah. I got words. I'm not sure about my first line. I just want a really cool first line.
Have you finished the story? Because I know some people who like do the whole thing and then they go back and fix the beginning. Like, I don't know if fixing the beginning while you're still writing the middle.
See, the way I write the story, I write all of the cool, exciting parts, and then I go and fill in all of the hard parts, the transitions, the intro, that kind of stuff.
I feel like that doesn't give you a break where it's like, oh, I did all the fun parts and now I have to do all the hard parts. It's like, don't you want to intersperse?
No.
I mean, it's your writing process. I'm not
I should though, but I don't. Like, I do them in the outline, and like I have like a placeholders where this needs to happen, and then boom, here's the fun stuff that I like to write. Here's the relationship stuff that I like to write. And then I'm like, oh, I need so many transitions, or can I just leave it? No, it doesn't flow. So I need to add. And of course, the beginning. The beginning is what I struggle with the most. So it's the thing that like I think about it the most, like just do it. And then I'll have something, like I have something for the new adult portion of the story, but even that I'm not happy with it. So I wrote it because I was like this, like I need to get something down for it. So I wrote it, not super happy with it. I've read it out to a few people and they liked it, but I'm like, but it could be better. But I think I'm probably gonna feel like that always. Like I could, if I had, I don't know. If I had it in my head, I could come up with something better. Because I'll hear somebody else's and I'm like, that is a good intro. That right there. And mine, and then I'll go back to mine. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like the start of mine. Okay, let's see. Okay, so, I mean, for my first book, there's a prologue, and it starts with the prophecy that, like, you know, is in the title. But then the next, like, the actual first line of the book is, no men were at the table. Which I thought was cool. And then
see, I like stuff like that because then you're like, why? Yeah. Literally, you want to read it and find out why were there no minutes.
And then the second one, there's a prologue because it happens so much earlier. Before it happens 8 years before the main text of the story. So this one is the prologue. Ivy was sleeping when her door burst open. And then the first one is people are going to look at and react to you differently, because her mom is explaining like what being a siren is. Third book, no prologue. Dylan stared at the text notification and swallowed the lump in his throat. And that's like the most immediately tied into the other books, actually, like the next sentence goes into it. And then the first book in my sci-fi is Verity woke suddenly as a loud rumble vibrated through her room. So kind of like the second book in the Belgrave Legacy trilogy, because there's basically home invasion in both of them, but they're different. And then I'm not going to read the first lines of the other two books because they're like, it's all one story. So
yeah,
it's related to the first book. Yeah. But I mean, also, like I said earlier, like I start with the inciting incident. Like even if it is a prologue, like it's an inciting incident, and then like maybe then there's another inciting incident that kicks off the main action of the rest of the story, but the first one like lays the groundwork or something, if that makes sense. It's like if Ivy wasn't a siren, a lot of the drama that happens later like wouldn't like the story wouldn't be the same, and her home is being invaded by people who like kill supernatural beings, and then but like she doesn't really know that she's a siren at the time, and then later she's like being told like, okay, this is what it is to be a siren. So like they're interconnected as well. I think this code is shorter than the others. Yeah, it's definitely shorter than the others. Echo Hotel Niner Alpha Foxtrot Sierra Golf. Eva, 150 words at times, spent the bulk of that one chatting in Messenger. Emmy, just trying to add fairy ring at the end of my story, as it is a sprite story, so of course I must have it. Eva, I take notes as I draft things. I take notes as I draft things I don't like and may want to change, so that I keep moving chronologically, but remember those scenes or dialogues or props that gave me a meh vibe. I'll take notes. I normally don't do it as I'm drafting, but it's like I'll draft it and then from my memory be like, okay, this is like stuff I know I want to change. But then what I've still been doing is instead of changing it is like before, instead of taking the time to change that stuff, I then hand it over to my alpha readers with a comment. And it's like, this is probably going to change, but also like, what if they end up liking the thing that I want to change, but they wanted me to change something else that would allow me to keep the thing that they like. And so, yeah, that's how I do it. Okay, let's start our third sprint.
I'm ready.
If you would like to donate to author advances for my publishing company, any amount is appreciated. ifundwomen.com/project/inimitable-books-LLC. And we are going to start in 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity. I think for the next sprint, we're basically going to just do how long it takes for people to enter the code and then jump right into it. So we end as close to like 11:30 as possible. How did everyone do?
I did good. I got lots of words. I'm settling on the way that I'm starting the story. So after I'm done, I'll go through and I'll start reading it all together to make sure that I like the flow of it, because there's a lot of things that happen because they're in a war at the time that the story is starting. So it's just figuring out, how do I introduce that they're in a war, but I don't want to be like, hey, there's a war going on, around what's happening with the girls,
Well, like maybe you're just talking about like their like things are rationed or they can't go out, as freely, or like the things that like we've all had to deal with since the Panini started, where it's like here are more restrictions.
Yeah, because I feel like when another character gets introduced, that's going to be like on full display because they've got things that they've got to do to, help other people out. And, but they don't have very much themselves because things are being rationed.
Yeah. You could have like one of the characters complaining about like why can't we have more? And then a character would be like, well, that like because of blank, and just like throw it in there.
Yeah. And I've got my character that is, and to her defense, she's the younger of them. So she's
I know what you're talking about. I'm just trying not to give too many details.
So yeah, there is the one character because she in my story, she's the youngest. So she's the one who has the harder time, grappling with, we don't have all of our goodies, So yeah, I mean it's fun. I'm having
time adjusting to it, I would imagine.
Yeah,
because at least when you're older, you can, like rationalize, like this sucks, but like
yeah, exactly. And they're like, this sucks, but we get it. And she's like, this sucks, but why? Why?
She's like, why do we have to do this?
Exactly.
I finished revising chapter 25, and there are very few comments on chapter 26. Like half of them are because I don't know. It's like I got halfway through my manuscript and apparently started like writing in the wrong point of view. So it's like half the comments are always now like, third, fix this. And I'm like, oh, that's easy. So like I'll see a chapter and it'll be like 30 comments, and then I scroll through and I'm like, okay, like 15 of these are like actual comments and the rest are I messed up. And my three alpha readers will all comment on the same instance of wrong POV, so they don't see that someone else has already commented on it. Right. So it's like, okay, just fix those, and then you can like mark half the comments resolved, and then you can filter it so you don't see them. I use Story Origin, so if people are wondering how I can do that, because you cannot do that with Google Docs. You can't filter comments. You can like delete them once you've handled them. 350 words, got a muffin. Could cut his hair.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to read out the code so we can start the next sprint soonish. So 3-5, Alpha, 3, Charlie, 7, Hotel, Sierra, Golf. Charlie is in chat and in the code.
I'm in too. All right.
It is messing up, Regina. Like switching POVs, it is messing up. You don't have to sugarcoat it. Okay, let's start our fourth and final sprint.
I did really good. Like I had comments and I'm like, no, we're going to sprint. We're going to sprint. I did good.
Yes. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity, everyone. That was our final sprint. How did you do, Nia?
I did good, and I just realized I wasn't on mute.
That's fine. I was listening to like Kate's stream, which had typing, and the timer, which had typing, so I didn't even notice that you weren't on mute.
Yeah, and my typewriter this one is kind of soft. It sounds like that, so it wasn't that bad. But my neighbor is doing his yard, so hopefully
I didn't hear it at all.
Okay, good. Then StreamYard is doing its job. I think for the whole stream I got looks like 1,441 words, so I'm happy.
Woo!
Yeah, and I'm gonna wrap up this first chapter, and hopefully it flows nicely with everything. I shouldn't do it. I should try to write linearly more, but I have parts of the story as I'm drafting.
Can't do it. I can't do the other way. Like I outlined my the first book in my stellar book. Like I outlined every single book in this, whereas I kind of outlined, but like only during revision. So like these books took a lot longer to do, whereas I was able to write each book, write and revise and edit and publish each book within 3 months, like one after another, which I don't recommend. But Like, I outlined this whole book, and then I was like, oh, really getting inspired to write like the final fight scene. And then I wanted to write it down because I didn't want to forget this stuff and things like that. But then I was writing, and I think I was revising, or I was still drafting. I hadn't even given it to my alpha readers yet. And I was like, we're on a spaceship. Doors shouldn't work like they do on Earth, which meant I had to completely change the chapter with the fight scene, because the stuff that leads into it, I had like someone slipping something under a door, and I was like, that doesn't work anymore. So that's why I don't write out of order, because even if I have like all the events planned, like if a small detail changes, that like world building detail, first of all, I guess it's no longer a small detail, but it like, so that's why I don't write out of order.
Yeah, I highlight anything that I change, and then I have to go back and look at it both ways to see which way I like it better, and then that's the way that goes into the story Bible. Yes, I have an orchid. Let me see if you can see it a little bit better.
Orchids are beautiful. I love them.
Yes, and this one's doing so well, and it's still going to get more buds. There's one right here. I try not to touch it too much because I don't want to damage it or anything, but yeah, it's doing really good. I'm like, yay. So excited about it. I got this one from my sister, and I'm going to have to, I think I need to repot it and put it in a bigger pot. So, but yeah, I can keep my story in order just because I outline and draft little bits at a time. Then I go back and I draft more. It's like all part of my process, but as I'm doing it, I just noticed that the parts that I keep skipping are are the non-action parts, or the like there's not a lot of character, back and forth. I love good dialogue, and I love good
dialogue. Yeah.
So those are the parts that I'm like, these are great. And then it's like, oh, I have a in-between scene. This needs to go there. Keep going. Because otherwise I might get stuck on it. Like, this took me so long. But when I'm drafting, I can just keep going. You know what I mean? If it's something I'm excited about. But then I don't like to get stuck on something like, how do I open this scene? How's the transition? And then changing my mind. I'm like, it takes so long. Yeah. But the rest of it, if it's there in my head, I want to keep writing. So,
yeah, I know, that makes sense.
Yeah. I need to get better. I'm a work in progress.
I mean, I've also written multiple books, and so like my writing process is a little bit more refined.
Yeah.
So let's do outros. Nia, ready?
I'm ready. Hello, I am Nia, the Vixen of Fiction. Thank you for sprinting with us. Zara, thank you for having me on to sprint with you and get some work done. I'm very happy with the progress I made. You can find me here on YouTube. I'm also on Twitch and Instagram, and I have a Ko-fi. And all of my stuff is linked on my Ko-fi. And if you want to see me post regularly, then that's usually done on Instagram, even though I'm trying to merge what I do with Instagram and Ko-fi. I just have to get better at being on it. And I host Script in the Book. Next Sunday, we will be doing Sanditon. So if you're interested in hearing our thoughts on that, I host AuthorTubers React, where Zara is, I was doing it right, where Zara is one of my co-hosts, and we have some fun topics that we're going to talk about on the 25th. And I host a writer's wrap-up. We alternate channels between myself, Sarah Cahill, and Candra Author. So you could join us either on the last day of the month or the first day of the month for those.
Yes. Thank you for being here. I always love having you on. Everyone here knows who I am, but my name is Zara Hoffman. I am the self-published author of 6 books, a young adult paranormal romance trilogy and a new adult sci-fi romance trilogy. You can buy these as signed paperbacks from my Ko-fi page, where I have a lot of other things, and most of my updates are there. But if you have a Ko-fi page or are thinking of doing one, it's much better than Patreon. I have a Ko-fi guide for writers. If you're thinking, I don't have a published book out, what do I do? So there's that guide. I have my outlining method, which for some reason Barrett Lori loves. It's pretty, what's the word? General. So it's enough of something that thought I'd put it out there, but you can bend it to what you need. And I am a co-host for AuthorTubers React. Like Nia said, I am the founder of Inimitable Books, LLC, which is a small publishing company that focuses on uplifting marginalized voices without forcing and pigeonholing said authors into showcasing their trauma in their stories. I am also the co-creator, co-host, and editor of the Writish podcast. And I think that's everything. So thank you all for being here. I will be streaming on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so same time as today, now that I kind of know my summer schedule, at least for June. And then again on Sunday, so I hope to see you all there. And I might do another pop-up during the week, but probably not because I have a medical thing on later in the day on Tuesday, so that might put me out. But yes, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell because I'm trying to get monetized on this channel. So need 1,000 subscribers and watch hours. So I have writing timers, so please consider putting those on in the background. And thank you, everyone.